Welcome on our podcast video, All Hands on Deck. I met a wonderful person 25 years ago through Sahaj Yoga, which is a technique of awakening Kundalini through self-realization. Antoinette Wells is dear to me. Beside that, she is a psychodynamic counselor. She uses the 12-step for codependency. And she is a passionate historian, and I could sit hours and hours listening to her story with Shri Mataji near Maladevi when she used to travel in India and in Europe with her. Please welcome Antoinette Wells.
Okay, Virginie. Well, it's a very auspicious day today, so it's lovely to meet across the ether, actually, because you are in Dubai and I'm here in UK, in Warwickshire. And it's amazing that actually we can actually communicate. And we are in lockdown, furthermore, which is incredible as well. So yes, I want to, so Virginie has asked me to be on this platform, and I'm really happy to be there because I think there's a lot of very good energy on this platform. And so I'm going to present myself. And for that, I will have to tell you a little bit about my journey. So, well, professionally as well, obviously. So yes, I started to be interested first in psychology when I was very young. I was actually just 19 years old, and I was a pupil of Jean Piaget in Geneva, because I think you must hear from my accent that I'm not a native English person. I'm actually from Switzerland, and I studied in Geneva. But then I realized that I was too young to study psychology, and I needed to live my life first to be more effective as a psychologist. So I think my intuition was correct, because I reconnected with psychology much later in life. Actually, I had all my family, I had all my 5 children, and I had lived already. So very interesting parallels in my life. But first of all, also, so instead of psychology, I studied history, and I was passionate about the evolution and all the kind of times of transition in history. That was my focus. I studied for 5 years, so it was really quite intense. And I mentioned that because actually we are at a time now, exactly now, where there will be a big transition historically. And we can see also, I just had a look also, historically, pandemics have already been big triggers for huge changes in mankind, like the Black Plague triggered a huge change. That's when Europe started to become prominent. That's also like when China in 1641, the Ming, the Ming royalty or empire completely collapsed because of the Black Plague. Anyway, these are just some examples to show that a pandemic has a very powerful trigger for humanity to change. But there is also other triggers which are very interesting and important. That's more in the history of spirituality. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about Jung first, because when I reconnected with psychology in the late 1990s, I wanted to really work in depth. And I was very interested in Jung, because Jung was a very deep philosopher, also a psychiatrist, and I thought he had a very broad outlook on life, actually much more than Freud, who was so-called the father of the psychoanalysis, but I don't think he went as far as Jung. And Jung discovered the unconscious, and he did proper research on that. And so much so that even spiritually, he found out about an energy which is in human beings, and it's called the Kundalini. And he actually, at the end of his life, it's very beautiful. If you read his book, Dream Reflection, and what is it, and Memory, something like that, he actually gets to the point of his own individuation, which we call also self-realization, meaning that this energy that he was kind of healing people with as a psychiatrist, he found that he could connect with it and he got enlightenment. So it was not only psychology then, it was proper spiritual, a proper spiritual experience. Now, why am I telling you that? Is because there's another parallel in my life. In early 1980, it's incredible. I've met, I'm not going to tell you the whole context, but I met an incredibly important spiritual personality called Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. And she actually said in her first lectures that she came to this earth to give a mouth to the unconscious. And that was very interesting to me, because who talked about the unconscious? It was Jung who talked about the unconscious. So she went to give a mouth to the unconscious. So actually she was actually actualizing what Jung, who was a little bit of a predecessor for this 20th century, came to announce. So he was quite a person to do, there was other people who announced her advent, Shri Mataji's advent, obviously. But for me, it was a very interesting link. And so the capacity of Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi was that she could give this awakening of the Kundalini that I talked about, not only to one person, like in the ancient times in the Vedas, where people could get realization after years of tapasya and penance, and at the end they could get their enlightenment. Shri Mataji came to actually open the seventh seal, the seventh chakra of humanity, which on the spiritual level was a huge leap into evolution. So it was a next stage of evolution for humanity. And she had an experience herself that we actually celebrate today. It's the 50th anniversary of her opening the Sahasrara chakra, which is the seventh seal of humanity. Some people who don't know about Sajjaka will know what the seventh seal is if they are interested in spirituality. And so that was so in 50 years ago in Nargol, actually by the sea in India. And so the whole humanity could get this experience of self-realization. And there are millions of people who actually practice now this meditation through the awakening of this Kundalini, which actually manifests by a cool wind, a cool breeze in your hands and on your head. And of course, it has different names. You can call it Ru, you can call it second birth, but this is also announced in the scriptures. So I had to talk about it today, Virginie, because it's such a jubilee, and it's very much interwoven in my life and even in my professional life. So I come back to my reconnection with psychology. I studied psychodynamic psychology, like I said, and focused on Jung and the early psychologists like Winnicott, who talk about the self and how important you have to nourish the self of the child, because, that's the way he can mature properly. And now in our modern times, everything is completely crazy, basically. And we need to reconnect with the self. with a self with a big S, actually with a self that Jung was talking about as well. And so my journey led me to work with young people for several years. And then I was led, completely led. I didn't choose it. I was led also because of circumstances in my life. I was led to work with addiction. So I worked 12 years in addiction treatment center settings or hospitals. So it was residential settings, so very intense work, you can imagine, with addicts who would come to us in a state which was really sometimes near death, kind of, because some alcoholics, it was really at the end of their tether. And we had to put them, we as therapists had to facilitate their rehabilitation, which was quite a work.
Yes.
But I had amazing experiences also.
Antoinette, can you tell us a little bit about the 12 steps you use? What is the
exactly
12 steps?
So absolutely. So obviously I didn't use I use also psychodynamic techniques in my one-to-one with them, but the program we used in these centers were the 12-step program, which actually has been given by Carl Gustav Jung to the first alcoholics in America. And he is the original founder of the 12-step program. And the 12-step program is beautiful. It has very good energy. It can integrate very well with what I was telling you about. It taps on an energy of a higher power,
okay,
which is the unconscious or God or what you can call it, but is above human awareness.
yeah.
And this 12-step program, I'm not going to tell you about the whole program, but it is the one which can arrest addiction. It cannot cure it, but it can arrest addiction and effectively. But you need to attend the meetings. You need to keep being connected with this 12-step program and do all the steps. I did them myself, actually, as a codependent, meaning somebody who had some form of addiction in her family. So I had to learn about it, and I did them myself. And of course, I then taught them also when I was working with addiction. And then I also developed a family program to help families of addicts. And that was actually very successful because family started to become detached from the illness and become themselves again. So it's all about becoming yourself, and actually I started a blog kind of increasing self-awareness. And for these times now in pandemic, it's a very reflective time. And it's a time where you need to be good to yourself. You need to introspect. You need to be good to yourself. You need to connect with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, and try to improve yourself and your life. And it's very beautiful because actually I can see that inside yoga or outside Sahaja Yoga, whatever, it's not in or out, but meaning those also outside who don't know about this meditation yet, they are changing because of this pandemic. They display so much more affection and care. I have such beautiful examples, I don't know if I can tell you examples here, but I can see that people are just going back to the essential. They are not lost in the merry-go-round of the rat race,
Yes.
which really has been to an extreme in our modern times.
Of course.
And they go back to basics, so yes.
Fantastic, Antoinette. Wow, I love
You
whatever you
questions?
say. It's so inspiring, so beautiful. Do you have a small anecdote you would like to talk about with Shri Mataji herself?
Oh, wow. Oh, yes. Well, a very small story, beautiful. We were in Rome in 1981, and we were visiting all the beautiful basilica with her.
Yes.
Because actually she was born in a Christian family, as a child in
Okay.
India. She's, of course, I didn't say, but she's in India, you might have guessed. And we were in this Basilica Magnifica called Santa Maria Maggiore, which I love Italian. And there was this beautiful kind of wheels on the marble floor of this church. And Shri Mataji, we were a little group with her. And she said, oh, they knew about the chakras. Look at these beautiful kind of circles on the marble floor. And then we arrived to the altar where there was the present, just the holy bread was there because it was a Catholic church, obviously. And there were some ladies kind of praying the rosary behind us. And one lady came to us with a image of Christ, but it was a really sad image of Christ with the crown of thorns on his head and blood kind of dripping on his cheeks. And we said, no, we don't want to take that. And actually, Shri Mataji told us, take the picture, take it. So we took it.
Yes.
And then she said, she was wearing a beige coat and a scarf. And she said, just let them face my Kundalini. And she put herself between the altar, because the church was empty, obviously, between the altar and this lady praying the rosary who were behind. And so we stayed a little moment like that. And after a while, we just left. And this one lady, we left for the door again, for the entrance door. And a lady just came kind of walking very fast behind us. And she said, so who are you following? Are you following Christ? And we said, of course we follow Christ, but we are also with this lady. And she was very intrigued. And so she came close to the entrance door of the church. And then we all stopped. And she asked Shri Mataji, do you believe that Christ is in the bread on the altar? She asked this question to Shri Mataji, and Shri Mataji responded, if you really believe that he is in the bread, he is in the bread.
Wow.
And then, the lady was looking at Shri Mataji with a lot of attention, and she said, and Shri Mataji looked at her back and said, don't feel guilty. And the lady said, oh, it's very difficult not to feel guilty when we know what happened to Christ and what we did to Christ. And then she got quite emotional, actually. And then Shri Mataji said, there was a friend who was translating from English to Italian, and Shri Mataji asked, so to this lady to say, what would she, how would she recognize Christ if he would come back to the earth? And the lady said, oh, with a lot of love and a lot of light. And then Shri Mataji said to her, so what do you think when you look at my face? What do you think I am? And the lady responded, una molto buona persona, which means a very good lady. And so it was really beautiful, because at that point we felt that there was a lot of energy around. So it's like this lady was seeing something in Shri Mataji, which was really from the heart. And then this lady got so emotional, she actually put her arms around Shri Mataji and said, forse ci vediamo nel paradiso. So she said, maybe we will see each other in paradise.
Oh,
And then,
beautiful.
And then we left, and then Shri Mataji said to us, you see, these people who are completely entrenched in a religion, and they don't know anything than their own religion, you just have to speak with love to them, and they will feel it.
But tell me, Antoinette, I think nowadays also it's all a question of energy, of love, and that's what you feel during this lockdown pandemic. People are very close to their heart, and they need to express more and more. And I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, that was a message, you know, kind of long time ago. It's yeah, very long time, maybe 1980. And so, yeah, her message was very much to not only love, but to really engage into a new awareness and to be connected with your spirit. That's what it is. And the spirit is the self. And for me, the boucle, you see what I mean? It's the self that I was looking, that Jung and Winnicott were talking about, is the same self, you know, but now you can actually feel it, you know, tangibly with a cool breeze, you know, in your hands.
Fantastic, Antoinette. Fantastic, Antoinette, and I'm so happy to have you on our platform. Can you tell me a little bit your feeling about the platform so far? How do you feel about it?
Okay, Virginie, this is just you, isn't it? It's your kind of ball of energy. You know, you are such an entrepreneur. And when I met you, I could see this kind of positivity that you have. Very positive person. You just take something on board and just go with it, and you make it work.
Oh.
And I think it will work, because I think it's a very interesting new venture of yours. I saw your not your CV, but your website, and I think it's very interesting all you did. I mean, of course, I met you in India, I met you in Switzerland, I met you in Dubai. So I met you in different places, and we always kind of, it's like a bit like a différents jalons, we say in French, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and there we are again, you know, so it's interesting.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Antoinette. It's so powerful. The vibration are so good when you talk, because it comes from your heart, and you are such an inspiring soul, always been there to me, pushing me, doing the things that we are meant to do. And it's beautiful to start this platform with you, Antoinette. You are the first one who gave me the idea to connect with all the people, the beautiful souls I know on this planet, and put all this energy together and be the catalyst to spread these beautiful energies. Thank you so much, Antoinette. I'm really honored and pleased to have you on our platform, and hope to see you more and more in these coming weeks. Take care, stay safe. Please subscribe and get notification whenever we have a new podcast video on the platform. Bye, and thank you.